Good evening and a very warm welcome to all the participants of today's webinar on strength and conditioning for sports performance, the 12th online program being organized by the Sports Authority of Goa in this COVID-19 pandemic. On behalf of the Sports Authority of Goa, I extend a very warm welcome to you all. Before I introduce you to today's session details and speaker, I wish to make mention that we lost one of our very hardworking and sincere coaches, Inacio Vegas, last Friday, due to which this program had to be postponed. We extend our heartfelt condolences to his family and relatives. Moving ahead, every sport has its unique methods of training, but overuse injuries are bound to happen. A proper strength and conditioning program is very important to strengthen supporting muscles, even out muscle imbalances, stabilize joints, learn new movement patterns, enhance coordination, peripheral skills, and so much more. Today, to guide us on this very important aspect, we have with us Sri Sachin Kanvinde. To introduce him, he is a former cricket player from Ponda and now settled in Nasik. He's a certified strength and conditioning coach from International Sports Science Association. He's a certified sports fitness coach from American College of Sports Medicine. He's a certified yoga trainer from Swami Vivekananda Yoga University, Bangalore. He has completed his CPR, AED, and functional facial training from ISSA and ACSM. He's also the founder of AMS Fitness Mumbai. He has also worked for Stallions Cricket Academy in Qatar and Doha Bank Cricket Club, Qatar. We welcome you, Sachin, on today's program and thank you for very sportingly accepting our invitation to conduct today's session. Before we begin with the session, I wish to inform all the participants that the attendance of the full program is compulsory. The duration of each participant attending this program is recorded by our team. So kindly make sure you attend the full program. Towards the end of the program, we will be providing you with a link called the feedback form link. This link will be shared on both Zoom and YouTube. You need to click on the link, fill in your details, and submit the form. I would like to repeat this again, that you need to fill in the feedback form after the end of the program and submit it, without which e-certificates will not be issued to any participant. So please make sure you fill in the feedback form link and submit it, and the certificate will be issued to you within 10 days after verification. So now I'd like Sachin to take over the session from here. Sachin, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Steffi. So first of all, I like to thank Sports Authority of Goa for giving me the great opportunity to share my knowledge to the various coaches and the athletes all over India and plus the participants from outside India. So thank you very much, Sports Authority of Goa, and thank you, Steffi, for all the coordination and all the things. So as we start, so just 1 minute, give me some time. I think some issue has happened with my laptop. Just 2 minutes. Yeah, can everyone see the slide? Hello, I cannot. Can you just give me a
Yes,
thumbs up?
Sachin. Yes, Sachin,
Yeah,
your
so
slide is audible, so you can go ahead.
yeah, so we'll start now. So namaste everyone. So then the name of my company is AM Sports and Fitness. I am the head coach and I'm based in Thane in Maharashtra, and I like to share some of my professional qualification and experience. I am certified strength and conditioning coach from International Sports Science Association, which is called ISA. I am certified sports fitness coach from American College of Sports Medicine. I am certified yoga coach from Swami Vivekananda Yoga University, which is in Bangalore, and certified level 1 coach from International Cricket Council Academy, Dubai. And I have worked as a strength and conditioning coach, also conducted camps and assisted great coaches in Qatar, Bahrain, Sri Lanka, and various cities of India. So today we are going to talk about the sports strength and conditioning for sports performance. So what exactly is strength and conditioning for sports performance? So why it's called a strength and conditioning and not just the fitness training? So why the word strength and conditioning comes from? The strength and conditioning is basically a complete sports designed specifically to increase the performance and to minimize the injuries of particular sports. So we play lots of sports. Plus, the strength and conditioning is different from bodybuilding or from powerlifting. In bodybuilding, we focus more on the building of the muscle or for the hypertrophy. But for sports specific fitness, we focus more on the overall fitness. Sports specific training is designed for every athlete of the team. So if you are into a team game, so every athlete, every player has a different kind of sports specific training. It's not a tailor-made, it's not a one size fits all. It's completely one-to-one individual. So what are the benefits of strength and conditioning? It enhances the sports performance. So when whatever game or sports you are playing, it will enhance your performance. It will help you to give more output. It increases your lean body mass. So it will decrease your fat percentage. It will keep you in proper shape. It maintains your good heart rate. The heart rate is very important for the sports person. It increases the lungs capacity. As your lungs capacity increases, your endurance, your stamina increases. It keeps your mind alert and focused. Because there are some games like chess is there, or some games are there, you have to completely alert. You have to control your breath. So it will help you to keep your mind alert and focused. It will minimize the injuries because injuries are the part of sports life. So the more you decrease the injuries in your sports career, the more you can perform and more you can go in a greater height. And it makes your bones and joints stronger. And the most important, it uplifts your personality and confidence. Everybody wants to look good. Everybody wants to have a good personality. So when you're in proper shape, when you do proper strength and conditioning, you will look good, you will look more confident. So what exactly is the role of strength and conditioning coach for the athlete or for that particular team? The assessment, the most important thing. It will start with assessment. So whenever you start a role as a strength and conditioning coach for, or maybe an individual athlete as a personal coach, or maybe for the complete team, you have to start with the assessment. The assessment is something of a test, which on the game or the sport which the individual plays or for the whole team plays. So what are the different type of assessments? The first is your cardio endurance. It will help you to analyze the cardio endurance of your athlete. It is a beep test or yo-yo test. So I can explain you in a brief, like basically there are three cones. There's a A cone, the B cone, and the C cone. The athlete will start from the B cone on the whistle, and there's an app. You can find it on a Google Play, on lots of, you can find it. So once the athlete starts from the B, on the whistle, he will run straight to the C, and he will wait till the next beep comes on. On the next beep, he will start running till the B, but he has to complete the run and cross the B before the beep, and he will go to the A. So till the A, he will go and wait, and he will get 5 seconds to relax. And again, before the B, he will come to the cone B and he will start running to C again. So slowly, as the lap starts increasing, the time will decrease, and it will help you as a coach to understand the stamina or the endurance of the athlete. You will give 3 warnings. If the person or the athlete cannot complete the cone before the beep, you will give the first warning, second warning, and on the third warning, you have to stop and you have to write it down what are the levels which you can get it on the app. So this is basically a good test to understand the cardio endurance. Then regarding the muscular endurance. So for the upper body, you can conduct the 60-second push-ups. You can just see how much your athlete is doing push-ups in 60 seconds non-stop. You have to take care of your form, your technique. You have to explain them what are the perfect forms, what are the perfect techniques. Accordingly, your athlete will do. Same for the lower body. You have to first show the techniques of the squats. You have to explain them, and you have to take the counts in 60 seconds. And for the core, you have to see that the 60 seconds, how much sit-ups the person is doing. So these are basically for your muscular endurance. Then for the muscular strength, there's a one RA means the one repetition. So the person or the athlete will do only one repetition of the maximum weight. So basically we do a compound exercise test. So either it's a squat, a bench press, or the deadlift. But before the test, that person has to warm up. He has to do at least a low rep, low volume, more reps, so that the muscles are warm up, his joints are warm up. And then you can take a test, maximum 3 counts. If the person is able to do more than 3 counts, means he's not doing his 1 rep max. So see that the person can able to do only maximum 3 repetitions, and then you have to note it down what are the weight he has done, and accordingly you have to focus on his training part. Then comes the speed. So in speed, we have a good test which is called the 30-meter split sprint. So the athlete will start from the cone A, which is here. Then you will keep a 1 cone at the 30 meters. Then again, you will keep another cone at 30 meters. So this total 60 meters run. So as you start, as the athlete starts running from the start, you have to count the time from 0 to 30 meters. And you have to see how much speed, how much seconds it took to cover this distance. And then again from 30 meters to 60 meters. So you have to check the distance. So you will come to know the acceleration, how much ATP he has there, how much ATP he can generate while completing the next 30 seconds. So according to that, you can come to know his fatigue level, how fast he gets fatigued, how fast he gets tired. So according to that, you can maintain the proper test and proper training in his training part. Then comes the agility, the most important part in the sports. You have to be agile. You should be able to move right, left, front, and back. So this is the common T test. So what is the T test basically? The person will start from here and he will run straight to the cone 1. And from cone 1, he will either go to 2 or 3, either way. And he will, if he's going to the number 3 sideways, he will run. And he will touch the cone with the same hand. If he's going on his left side, he will touch the cone with the left hand. And same way, he will come to the cone 2. He will touch the right hand to the cone. He come back to the cone 1 and he will come back running. So you have to give 3 rounds. You have to check how much time it takes for the 3 rounds, plus the individual lap for the round 1, round 2, and round 3. So here we can come to know how agile he is in moving his body right, left, front, and back. Then comes the flexibility test, which is the common test of sit and reach. Here, there's a apparatus, you can get it, and there's a scale, and you have to tell the athlete to stretch how much as you can, and you have to just mention how much the stretch it is, and you can write it down. So according to the practice and according to the training, you can increase the flexibility. And the most important for the athlete is the body composition. The lesser the fat percentage on the body, more the output, more he can run faster, more he or she can jump higher, and more he can give the maximum output. So body composition is very much important in the test. You have to take care and explain your athlete about the diet and nutrition, how he or she can bring down the fat percentage and increase the lean body mass. So these are basically the basic tests. There are lots of tests you can do as per the games and all. But this is like a one size fits all, and this test you can incorporate in your gym, in a playground, or wherever you want, because it requires minimum apparatus. So what's the important after this? Once you took the test, you have to consult the whole team or each and every individual, and you have to explain them the results of the test. So on the results, you will come to know what is the weaknesses, what are the strengths. So on the weaknesses and the strength, you have to focus your planning, you have to focus your training, and then accordingly, you have to explain each and every person what he or she has to do in the coming season. The most important thing we have to keep it in mind over here is that we do test, we explain to the athletes, but the output, it's very much important. हम सोचते सब है, हमारे दिमाग में सब होता है, लेकिन दिमाग से बदन पे कब आएगा? That is very important. The discipline, the dedication, and the determination. It's both way. Even the athlete has to give 100%. Even the coach has to give 100%. The coach has to see that each and every athlete gives 100%. He has to monitor. He has to motivate. He has to encourage each and every athlete to give the best. You have to explain the benefits why he or she is doing. So deliver and motivate is very much important part of the as a coach to encourage the athletes to achieve the higher goods. Now, the most important part of the strength and conditioning. First is the biomechanism. So once you are done with the test, next comes the second part, which is very much important, the roadway, the pathway to the training part. So first is the biomechanism, second is the energy pathways, and third is the FITT. So what is FITT? We will explain it later. So what do you mean by biomechanism? Biomechanism means the sports. Every sport has a moment. Without moment, there's a no sport. There are few sports are there which has a minimum moment, but maximum sports or maximum games requires the moment. So the moments has to be scientifically made. It has to be see that all the moments are functional moments. All the moments are technically correct. Your right side, left side should be completely balanced. Your front and back should be completely balanced. Your upper body should coordinate with your lower body. So biomechanism is basically the things which helps you to understand the moments of your game or the sport. Basically, for example, just say for the tennis or badminton, the moments are always right, left, front, back, up and down. So you have to understand that biomechanism, the moments of that particular game. But for the cricket, the moments are not that fast, not that slow as compared to tennis or to the badminton. They are more power moments. They are a little bit slow. Sometimes the fielder is standing at a very far fine leg or third man. Hardly the ball comes for 15 minutes, but suddenly a ball will come, but he has to run very fast. So he has to understand that what type of movements he has to do. He has to keep his body alert. He has to keep his body in function. So these are the biomechanism you have to understand first before giving the training or before giving the training plan to your athlete. Then comes the energy pathways. So here I will just explain you in a brief. We won't go in detail. Basically, there are three energy pathways. One is for the immediate requirement, one is for the little bit more requirement, and one is for the longer duration. So for the immediate requirement, you require the phosphate system, which requires energy very fast. Second is for the not very fast, not very slow, say for the 1 mile or say maybe for 5 kilometers or 10 kilometers. And there is the energy which is required for the long distance. If you are a football player, so you require energy to run fast also, plus you have to sustain your energy for full 45 minutes. So accordingly that you have to train and to see that the diet and nutrition plays a very much important role in during the game and during the training. So that stress which you are putting on that athlete during the training, he maintain the same stress while playing the game. So these energy parts can be we can think or we can do. It's a very different topic. We can discuss it later on. Now we are focusing more on the strength and conditioning. Now comes the main part of the strength and conditioning, which is FITT. So what do you mean by FITT? Frequency, intensity, time, and the type. As a sports person or as an athlete, already that sports person or the athlete is stressing the body by playing that particular game. Just for example, if the person is going to gym just for the weight loss or weight gain, he or she is doing only for that one particular hour of training, and for next 23 hours that person is doing the other work. So he or she is not stressing the body that much as compared to sports person. The sports person is stressing the body in the gym, on the field and off the field. So we have to see that the proper frequency of the training so that the skills and the strength and conditioning will go parallel to each other and doesn't get interfere in each other so that the output or the performance comes down. So frequency is very important. How much days in the week, how much intensity is also important, because if you don't give proper rest or don't give proper recovery, how the person will go for the next class, or how the person will go for the next session. The time is very important. How much time? We have to start with a particular time. Then only we can see the results. We cannot just go into gym, or you cannot just go on the outfield and do for 1 hour, 2 hour, 4 hours. So just forget what other people say. You can see people telling, I work 4 hours in the gym, I work 5 hours on the outfield. No, this is completely wrong. You have to focus as per the requirement of the athlete and the type. So understand the sports, understand the game of your player, what type of game or sports he or she is playing, whether it's a power endurance, it's a strength, it's a high endurance, or it's only just the endurance strength. So we have to understand the type of game, type of sport, and as per the type, we have to see that you give the proper type of training so that the skills and the strength and conditioning will be enhanced over the period of time. So this is a very much important point which we'll be discussing now later on. So frequency, intensity, time, and type. Now, as we discuss the periodization in strength and conditioning, what is the frequency, the intensity, time, and type? So as I told you before, the sports person is already stressing his body by playing the game or sport he's liking, and plus the fitness or the strength and conditioning to enhance that skill. So we have to see that the specific adaptation to imposed demands. We have to see particularly what kind of training, what is a perfect type of strength and conditioning which will help him or help her to understand the game. It will help to enhance the game. So periodization is very much important in strength and conditioning. So it starts with a pre-season. So before the season, they are almost around 4 to 6 weeks. So this is the time where the athlete or the player is in proper shape to understand and to set the goals. He or she has to set the goals of the coming season. Forget what has happened before the season, the earlier season. He has to forget. Just see that it's everything is done, is the past. Now he has to focus on the next season. So it first starts with a goal setting. So what is his goal? To enhance the performance, to win the medal or the trophy for himself or for the team, and to see that it keeps on encouraging the teammates, or it keeps on encouraging himself by performing more and more. So goal setting is very much important. The second comes the base strength. This is the period where the skill levels are little bit less. The skills are not that much comparatively to what the person is playing in the season time. So he has to focus more on the strength and the power so that the best power, the best strength is maintained and he is ready for the coming season. So what are the strength and conditioning you can incorporate in your pre-season? So as I told you, the goals. So first is the goal. The goals has to be specific. It has to be measurable. It has to be achievable. It has to be realistic, and it has to be timely. Because timely goals, because that goals has to be completed within 4 to 6 weeks. You cannot extend the goals, just keep on extending and extending. So see that the goals are properly maintained, and the strength and conditioning. So these are some compound exercises that as a coach you have to incorporate to your player. The squats, deadlift, and the bench press. These are the compound exercises for the lower body, for the back, and for the chest. So it will help you to strengthen all your muscles. It will help you to strengthen your core, and it will help you to strengthen overall the all coordinating muscles of your body. There are some Olympic lifts for strength and power, snatch, clean and press, but these all Olympic movements has to be done under proper supervision. You will get lots of videos, on social medias, but see that these all Olympic lifts are being done under proper supervision. You have to explain the proper techniques, the proper forms to your athlete. You have to explain them in particular part by part and then incorporate in your training part. But see that has to be done because Olympic lifts is explosive movements, and explosive movements are very much required in your sports strength and conditioning. Then comes your early season. So early season is basically a period, just a start of the season. You are getting ready for the season. So where you have to focus more on your muscular endurance, you have to focus more on your core stability, you have to focus more on the range of motion because flexibility is very much important. You have to be flexible. And the most important thing for your sports is the speed and agility. So as you complete your strength and conditioning of strength and power season, as you're getting ready for the early season for your sports or for the game, see that you encourage or incorporate more of the muscular endurance. So less volume and more repetitions or more of your body weight training. So you can incorporate TRX. So TRX is very good exercise to engage your core, to stabilize your core. Plus, you can incorporate some core stability for your core muscles, which is your abdomen, your back, and your obliques. And then for the range of motion, you can use your yoga asanas, you can use your some flexibility training before and after. So see that when you do the range of motion exercises for warm up, it should be more of your dynamic exercise. When you do for the cool down, it should be more of static exercises. And for the speed and agility, it has to be more of ladder, the cones. So see that you use all the agility and speed movements. There are some other examples of speed and agility: parachute running, high heels, back heels with the medicine balls for the obliques, jumping jacks. So you can incorporate lots of exercises in your strength and conditioning for the season time. And now we will focus more on the competitive season. So what is the competitive season? So competitive season is basically where the player is 100% in the game, is 100% in the competition, where he has to focus on winning, is focus more on competing, and focus more on performing. So with that performance, with that competition, he has to see that he also has to maintain the fitness level. Whatever hard work he has done from last 5 to 8 weeks, you have to keep on increasing that fitness and you have to keep on enhancing that performance. So it comes with your muscular endurance, as we mentioned before. The muscular endurance will come with a less volume and high repetition. So see that that particular muscle is in the proper condition. Strength conditioning by doing more of body weight exercises. Then coordinate with your coach for the skills. And the most important thing is the mind conditioning. Because for mind conditioning, when you're in the competitive season, there are lots of losses, lots of wins, there are lots of setbacks, there are lots of things which happens mentally. So when you're in competitive season, the mind conditioning is also plays a very important role. So muscular endurance, strength conditioning, skill specialization, and mind conditioning are the four important things which you have to focus as a coach for your athlete or the player, and see that is a 360-degree strength and conditioning training has been done. And now comes the most important part, the off season, the end of the season. As we already mentioned, injuries are the part of the life. You can see that there are lots of injuries going on, and during the season, lots of players or the athletes, they take painkillers, they take injection because they have to perform, they have to play for the important matches. But as the season ends, the injuries are still there in the body. So first thing we have to see that we have to rehabilitate the injuries. We have to take out that injuries from the body. We have to see that the player or the athlete becomes completely fit again. So rehabilitation of the injuries is very much important. You can visit your physio, you can go for the massage, you can go for most of the post therapies are there where you can rehabilitate and strengthen your injuries. The mind conditioning, again, because the season is over, you have won, you have lost, you have drawn. So there are lots of things happening in the season time. So you have to come out of that season and again focus for the next season. So again, set your goals for the coming season. What will be your goals? If you are come from the lower division to upper division, you have to see that you're playing in upper divisions, so the performance, the quality of the games will be different. How mentally and physically you will be ready as a coach and for the athletes. So off season is basically for the rest and recovery and focusing on the next type. So what are the important things as a strength and conditioning coach, you have to take it in mind. So as I told you, these are the training part of 4 seasons: pre-season, early season, competitive season, and the off season. So you are the most nearest person to your athlete. The coach is like a friend, is like a mentor to your player or to the athlete or for the full team. So you have to be with them throughout the season. You have to travel with them, you enjoy with them, you take the losses, you celebrate the wins. So there are lots of things you have to keep it in mind as a strength and conditioning coach. So first of all, you have to take care of your personal. The very much important thing is that you have to get certified in CPR, the first aid certification, because sometimes you are traveling with your athletes, sometimes you are in the game. There may not be some assistance of doctors or physiotherapists. At least you should be able to know what first aid you should be able to give to an athlete or to your player in case of some casualty. So CPR certification is very much important, and to keep on renewing after every 2 years. You have to see that there's an informed consent form signed by the athlete and the emergency contact of the athlete. As I told you, anything can happen anywhere. So you have to be well prepared to contact the person. You have to check the medical history of the athlete. Sometimes you're new to the team. Sometimes you took the team in the middle of the season. So you have to understand. So you have to see that the medical history of each and every athlete. Lots of athletes or players, they don't say what has their history. They try to hide their medical history. They don't tell each and everything. So you have to take into confidence and understand and explain them why the medical history is important. This is what we have to see, that you are professionally dressed. See that you wear the same uniform. You see that you are properly, professionally in front of your team or with your athlete. It will show your confidence. It will show your personality. So properly dressed is very much important. Always be ready with all your things: the logbook, the stopwatch, the whistle, different colors of pens, pencil, etc. You have to write it down. You cannot remember everything in your mind. You have to write down during the test, after the test, and whatever you do while training. You have to see that you maintain a proper plan for the coming schedule, for the coming fitness training. So everything has to be written. It's very good for you also, so you don't have to remember many things. And now, as we are going into the pandemic and these COVID things, you see that you do the proper distance, you keep a proper distance, explain them, maintain a proper social well-being while training. And what are the safety measures? As we already explained, we will go a little bit more deep. Always take care of the environment. See that you might be training your athletes or the players indoors. So very much important while training it indoors, you have to check the ventilation. See that the windows or the doors are proper. If you're working out in the AC is properly, the temperature is properly maintained. If you're working in the open air, in the fresh air, see that the windows are open. There's a proper cross ventilation so that the stamina level or the endurance level of the athlete is maintained. You have to check the floorings. As per the flooring, you have to tell your athlete or the player to wear the proper shoes. You have to take care of the equipments, see that the equipments are proper maintained and properly oiled. And you have to check the emergency exit. If something happens, like there's a fire or short circuit, you should know how to take care of your athletes to the exit. So these are the proper things you have to understand before you start the training for the indoors. And if you're training outdoors, same way, check the ground condition, whether it's a wet, dry, it's a too sloppy. So understand what kind of training if you're giving lots of running training, and if the ground is wet, it's not a proper way. So check the ground conditions, come to the ground 15 minutes before the session starts, check all the everything, and then start your fitness training. Check for the medical assistance if something happens if you're training outdoor. If you're going to some another state, you're going to some another city where you don't know what exactly the ground is, we don't know some other things. So before you start the training, check the medical assistance, coordinate with the person who is nearby, who is your next contact, and always maintain a social safety. When you train outdoors, there are lots of people who will watch, they will take photographs, do the videos, see that nothing has been wrong, you take a proper things, you take proper care of your students and your athletes. Always keep an extra set of equipments or the training materials like ladders, cones, hurdles, because sometimes while training it gets break, it gets spoiled. So you have to see that you maintain a proper extra set of equipment, so there is no stopping of your training part, or you don't and you can go as per the plan which you are maintaining. And the most important thing, as I told you before, the first aid kit. The first aid kit is very much important, and assistance. If you can have assistance or doctor with you is well and good. If there's no assistant to you, see that the fastest way you can get assistance is something happens, if any casualties has been there. And now when you train your athlete or the player, how you should spot, or how should you explain the techniques, because you are in the techniques, you know the techniques. It's very much difficult to explain the techniques or the way of the training to your athletes. Every player is a different. The grasping power of every player is different. Some might grasp fast, some might grasp slow, but you have to see that you give 100% to each and every athlete. Let the athletes or player ask question, explain them before everything is proper, show them. So first thing, like explain the whole plan. You just cannot randomly go to any team or just fitness training class and say, now we are doing this. No, you have to explain right from the warm up, the main part, the cool down, even in main part, what we are doing, whether we're doing speed and agility, whether we're doing strength and conditioning, whether we're doing plyometrics. So explain them lots of things which you're going to do. So let the player or the athlete get ready mentally, not only physically, but the mentally also, so that they can give the maximum performance. As I told you, you have to describe and demonstrate. You just cannot tell, okay, ये करना है, वैसे करना है, यहाँ पे jump करना है, वहां से jump करना है, नहीं. You have to show them properly. If you're doing the ladders, what kind of agility things, what kind of agility drills you're going to show to the player. So explain and demonstrate properly the breathing part, the biomechanism, how your hand should move, how your hand should be on the neck, how your leg should move, how you should be landing on the toes, or you should be landing on the athlete's position. So each and everything is important, because when you show them, the athletes will grasp and it will be a muscle pattern in their mind. So you have to tell them. You cannot just verbally tell them कि आपको ये करना है, वैसे करना है. No. So this is very much important part as a strength and conditioning coach. If you are training a team, say the group of 14 or 15 players in a team, make a small group and give them responsibilities of helping each other. Give them some competitive test or some competitive, say something, this is the time and there's a competition between these two groups. So it will help them to engage more themselves. They will take the initiatives. They will come up with a new idea. Sir, we will do this, sir, we will do that, ma'am, we will do that way. This is a very good thing. So always see that you make a small groups and make a teams inside, and you make them competition in between, while say bench press hai, ya while speed agility hai. So there are lots of things you can do it. So always see that you make a group and engage each and every person. What happens when you train a team? When you're training a particular group, the other groups lags behind and they start talking, they start wasting the time. No. So plan such activities such that everyone is engaged and nobody sits idle. And give them some initiatives. Allow them to arrange the equipments, markers, arrange, tell them to see that how they want to do something different. So keep on asking them questions. As I told you, involve them. At the end of the session, always speak to them. Just not after you went cool down ho gaya, chalo khatam ho gayi class, you're out on your way. No. After the class is over, it's very much important to ask them what they learn. What is the feedback? Take the feedback from each and every person. There are many players in a team. One is a shy player, one is an outspoken player, one is very observant player but doesn't talk too much. We have to engage each and every person. So ask the feedback, ask what they learn, what are the things they want to improve in themselves, whether what they are doing is relative to the sport. So keep on engaging themselves by asking questions and taking the feedback. So this is basically a brief the outline of strength and conditioning, what you have to do as a coach. You have to take care of the things, lots of things are there as I explained you. So thank you very much for listening to me, and now I am ready for your question and answers.
Thank you very much, Sachin. It was indeed a nice brief session on strength and conditioning. I think an eye opener for many of the coaches and participants. So we have a question from one of our participants. what is the appropriate way to quantify strength training intensity for 7 to 12-year-old players? So basically, if you could tell us, as per the age groups, like maybe 7 to 13, and how would you recommend strength and conditioning for such players?
Yeah, good. So basically, we have to categorize the players. Already, there are lots of games, which is the age category wise. So it starts with under 10, under 13, under 16, and under 19. So the age group of under 10 and under 13 is basically a growing age. It is the age where that person is in a growing age. So we have to focus more on the speed, agility, and body weight exercises. See that the person or the athlete is using more of the body weight, is enhancing the training part with the own body weight, because it's more on the growing part, it's more on a developing age. And don't try to emphasize more on the extra resistance, don't try to do extra weights or something. Let the person enjoy the workout, let the person enjoy that fitness or strength and conditioning training, and see that your strength and conditioning drills should be as almost same like the game or the sport that particular player is playing. So it will help him or her for the muscle memory. It will set a pattern in his mind and his body, so that as he or she develops and he starts playing in the 16 or 19, he will be more competitive, he'll be much more stronger. So for the age group of under 10 and under 13, the strength and conditioning drills I could recommend is more of body weight exercise like air squats, push-ups, pull-ups, more of the cones and agility, more of ladders, more of high jumps, long jumps, like that, which will help that person or the athlete to strong, make that bones and joints stronger, and it will help to enhance his development in his overall body.
Okay, there's another question. Is there any app for the yo-yo test?
Yeah, you can find, you can just go to the Google Play and you can just put yo-yo test, you or beep test. You can find lots of apps and you can download it here.
Okay, our next question, Sachin. Okay, before I proceed on to the next question, I'd like to request all the participants. A session becomes very interesting when questions are asked. So it's just not listening to what someone's saying, but also, from the other side, there needs to be a feedback. So I request our coaches and all the participants attending, you can ask a question, anything related to weight training or
Yeah, that's
anything
what,
you
because
wish.
that's the reason I kept my PowerPoint very short. I don't want to go more details, because strength and conditioning is a subject which has to be done practically and not on the PowerPoint. PowerPoint I can do for 1 hour, 2 hours, but this is not the way the strength and conditioning. The sports is been played. The sports is practical, it's more of mind-body coordination. So I want the questions from the coaches or the athletes where I will be able to answer properly. So let them come with their own questions. PowerPoint is just like what you said was the outline, just like a skeleton to explain what is strength and conditioning. But I want the doubts, the questions from you, so it will be better for me also to enhance my knowledge.
Okay, I'd like to ask you the next question. When weight training is conducted or strength training is conducted for players, how much rest is advisable between sets? There can be also phases of training, like pre-competition, post-competition. There can be like during off season there can be more of strength training happening. During as we are approaching competition, there can be more number of speed kind of a workout. So in this, I mean, phase wise, how do you advise rest between sets?
Basically, as I told you in my PowerPoint, we have to plan our whole year's strength and conditioning in 4 parts. First is your pre-season. When you do the training in pre-season, you focus more on the high volume, because this is the period where the athlete is not in the 100% in his game. It's completely 4 or 6 weeks before the season. So the person can go heavy, because if the person is doing heavy training, next day his muscles are little bit sore. So he or she can go that little bit soreness, it's fine, but just understand that person is in competitive season, and say it's a cricketer or it's a footballer, and that footballer goes for heavy leg training before the game, and next day he's sore, he cannot run, he will have that sore leg, so how he can perform on the ground? So it's no use of the strength and conditioning of that particular player. So during the off season, so during the pre-season, the person can go high volume and less repetition. So when you're training high volume, higher the intensity, higher the rest time. If the person is training higher, minimum 90 seconds to 120-second rest is required to regenerate ATP, as we mentioned in the energy part. So ATP generation requires minimum 2 minutes to 3 minutes. So in pre-season, when you go heavy, minimum 2 minutes rest is required. But when you are into a season or in an early season where you're focusing more on the repetition, when you're focusing more on the volume of the repetitions and endurance, the less time is required because you have to enhance your lungs capacity, you have to enhance your endurance. So the rest time will be less. So this is just the simple formula. The higher intensity you go, higher the rest time, but not more than 3 minutes. Less the repetition, so less the volume, higher the repetitions. Maximum 30 seconds to 60 seconds is enough. But see that you recover properly. Don't do half breath. You recover properly, and then you can start your next repetition or you can start your next drill.
Okay, there is another question. At what age can you start taking the yo-yo test for players?
Yo-yo test can be started from the age of 7. There's a difference because for the what you say, for the athlete above 16 years, the distance is 20 meters. But for the athletes under 16 years, the distance is 16 meters. So you can start the yo-yo test is a common for everyone. So as per the age group, you can check the yo-yo test app and you can maintain the distance. So you have to adjust the cones as per the age group of your athlete which you're taking the test. And at a time, the yo-yo test can be done for the 10 players also at a time. You just require one assistant and he or she will be looking at the watch and will give the whistle on the beep. And you can write it down all the names of the athlete and just see that how much laps they are doing and where they're stopping, the first warning, the second warning, the third warning. So there's nothing. Only for above 16 years, the distance is 20 meters. For the under 16, the distance is 16 meters.
Okay, can you elaborate a little on eccentric strength development?
Sorry, I didn't get you.
There is a question. Can you elaborate on eccentric strength development?
Yeah, eccentric and concentric are the two parts of the muscle movement where the muscle contracts and relax, muscle contracts and relax. So when you do the sports fitness, when you do the sports strength and conditioning training, see that the concentric and eccentric part should be maintained at the proper same ratio. So when you do any, say when you're doing say squatting, don't stop. If you're going for the sports fitness training, see that you're maintaining the proper tempo. You're not stopping anywhere. You're bringing proper time, 1:1. The how much time you go for the eccentric should be the same time for concentric. And little bit slowly, you can increase the speed for the explosive movements like Olympic lifts and like that. So it's not a hypertrophy we are focusing over here. Hypertrophy is basically for the power building or for the body building where you have to focus more on the holding the weight and go slowly down and fast up, slowly down. No. Here you can do this type of training in your off season, but when you're into an early season or in your proper season, you have to maintain the ratio of 1:1 for your eccentric and concentric kind of fitness training.
Okay, Sachin, we have another question from one of our athletic coaches. So she says, for events like throws in athletics, we focus more on muscle mass. So
Yes.
how can we increase muscle mass and decrease the fat, especially in female throwers? Any specific exercises apart from weight training?
What kind of sport she's told?
Throwers, like maybe a shot putter or a javelin thrower,
Okay,
or
yes.
like who are involved into power sports. I'll repeat the question. For event like throws in athletics, we focus more on muscle mass. So how can we increase muscle mass and decrease the fat, especially in female throwers? Any
Okay.
specific exercises that you would recommend apart from weight training?
Yes, see, first of all, for the throwers, the throwing event is an event where the person or the athlete is more of static. It's not more like running or it's not more of dynamic. It's more of the static game. So for that static game, the base, the legs has to be strong, the core has to be strong. And when the person is into throwing events, the moment is at the point, he's a static and the moment is sideways. So the athlete has to focus more on the obliques and the core and plus the lower body strength. And to increase the muscle mass, the person has to slowly go for the overloading of the training. The overloading of the training can be done in the early season or pre-season. And when you're in the competitive season, you have to just focus on the endurance of that particular muscle. And regarding to increase the muscle mass, you have to increase your protein intake. You have to take care of your diet. For the females and for the males, there's a particular ratio of the fat percentage. For the females, 20 to 22%, and for the male is 15 to 18% of your body weight. So you can consult proper dietitian or sports nutrition, how they can increase their muscle mass and decrease the fat percent. This is completely different topic which you can deal with by consulting a proper dietitian or sports nutritionist. And regarding for the training part, how they can increase their muscle mass, for the training they have to keep on overloading, you have to keep on progressing the training part and focus more on the lower body, obliques and the core, because the throwing event, which is a standing event and more of the sideways movement, the focus is more, the power comes from the legs and from the core. So they have to focus more on the strength and power of the legs and the core.
Okay, thank you. We have another question from Vijay. What are the weights preferred for warm-up before muscular strength session, and for the and what weights are preferred for the assessment? You'd like me to repeat the question?
Yeah, I didn't understand the question actually.
Okay, I'll just repeat it again. What are the weights preferred for warm-up before, or maybe what is the warm-up preferred before a muscular strength session or a weight training session? What is the type of warm-up that we need to give players before we start conducting a weight training session?
Okay, got it. Huh? So basically what happens when you do the warm-up or the cool down, this is a very much important part of your strength and conditioning fitness, because before warm-up, it helps that person to get ready for that particular fitness training. So warm-up should be more of dynamic movements, a particular movement which has to be done more than 8 times, 10 times, 12 times. And the more you do the movements, more the better. So warm-up should include first the whole body warm-up. It starts from the neck, shoulders, elbows, wrist, your core, your knees, your hips, and your ankles, and the whole of your spine. So this is the basic warm-up for the any fitness training. And then start the warm-up as per the skill. So whether it's a cricketer, footballer, or whether it's a volleyball player, whether it's a tennis player or the athlete. So take the proper warm-up for that particular game that person is playing. And as you want to start for the weight training, start with less weights and more repetition. Let that muscle memory get into the action. Let that muscle patterns get into the action. And once you feel that person is really warmed up by doing 15 to 20 repetitions of one set, taking the less weight, and then you can start as per the requirement, whether you want to go for the heavy or whether you want to go for the muscular endurance training. So warm up, first thing is your basic warm up of full body. Second is your skill warm up. And third is taking the less weight and more repetition just to set the action for that particular muscle memory. So these are the 3 types of warm up. And once the session is done, the cool down is very important, because if you don't do cool down, the body will remain in the same pattern and it doesn't know whether the session is over or no. And this will lead to the muscle spasm. This will lead to the catches or the the shortening of the muscles. So cool down is very much important for all the games. After you play a game, or whether you've done a training session, whether you've done a proper fitness session, cool down is very much important. In cool down, you have to do the same full body stretches by holding minimum for 15 to 20 seconds and doing the proper breathing of inhale and exhale. Cool down has to be done with the proper breathing. You have to exhale all the unwanted lactic acid from your mouth, exhale it out, and let the muscle feel that stretch, let the muscle feel that relaxation. And then you can end up the session. Yes, Steffi. Hello.
Okay, I just got muted. Okay, we have another question from Nilesh Naik, who asks us, do you advise for artificial supplements to enhance strength and endurance? Do artificial supplements help?
Yeah, I was expecting that question. I was surprised still this question hasn't arisen. Yeah, these are the much talked thing in the today's sports world. Yeah, see, the as a coach, what I could say, there's a nothing called artificial or natural supplements. The supplements are supplements. What are the supplements basically? Supplements is the nutrition which you get from outside, which you don't get from your normal food or day-to-day food you're eating. So this is a completely different topic which you can discuss with your proper, taking the proper test of your whole body, what kind of body you are, whether you're ectomorph, endomorph, mesomorph, whether you are allergic to any particular food, whether you're gluten allergic, whether you're lactose allergic, you either you're allergic to some of the conditions. So you have to sit with a proper, what you say, a sports nutritionist or dietitian. He or she will take a proper recall of your whole medical history, and he or she will see that whether what the food you are eating, are you getting the proper nutrition depending upon the output of your game, the output of your fitness training or strength and conditioning training. Yes, of course, because I could recommend you can take, but not just pop a pill or just don't just take a powder because somebody's taking, my friend is taking, that's why I'm taking. Wo leta hai to main lunga nahi. It has to go on the proper supervision and proper test and result oriented. So of course, I could recommend that you should go for some supplements, but go to the doctor, family doctor, go to the sports doctor and consult and then start with your proper supplements.
Okay, there's another question from Coach Sandeep Shetkar, who asks us how long or what is the duration that one session should ideally be?
Yeah. What's his name? I didn't get his name. Sandeep.
Sandeep Shetkar has asked this question
Okay.
as to what is the ideal duration that one session should be.
See, as I told in my PowerPoint, like frequency, intensity, time, and time. So it all depends on one to one, person to person. So whether that athlete or the player or that team is in early season or competitive season or early in a proper off season time. So we have to see that in early season or pre-season, they have to focus more on the strength and power. So the session should last for minimum 45 seconds, 45 minutes to 60 minutes. And when the person comes into the season, in season, that person, that player or the athlete has to do the skills also. Whether it's a football player, he has to practice more on the football and also have to practice the strength and conditioning. So you have to maintain the proper balance of both the things. It shouldn't, the strength and conditioning shouldn't affect the skills, and skills shouldn't affect the strength and conditioning. So but ideally 45 minutes to 60 minutes is enough on alternate days or 4 days a week is enough for the particular player, whether it's a early season or the off season.
Okay, we have another question. We have some games or some sports which are a little sedentary type. You need to sit and get it, like chess. This is a question from Nilesh Knight. So, is strength and conditioning also advisable for somebody who would be playing chess or like another game which would require the mind to be in use? More of the time, like something like chess. I think it's a very interesting question. If you could tell us how important fitness also for that aspect is important for
See, the first thing for the chess, the strength and conditioning is the mind. The person has to be completely alert, but it doesn't mean that person is sitting and playing the game, he shouldn't be physically strong. Of course he has to be strong, but what kind of muscle he should focus on. So when you're sitting, he has to sit straight, so his core muscles has to be strong enough to hold this position upright. His shoulders has to be strong enough to see that he remains in particular position, he moves the hand. He should be, the neck and the head part should be stable enough to focus and concentrate on the next move. So definitely he can focus on overall body training, he can focus on the strength and conditioning. So first thing he has to do is the physical thing, the whole body training, but not heavy, but more of endurance. So less volume and high repetitions. He can go or she can go for the more of repetitions for the full compound exercises. He or she can do the agility and speed because it will help that athlete, the chess player, to maintain the lungs power and overall sports and sports fitness. And yoga training, the breathing, how the person can control the breathing, how he can or she can remain calm and focus and alert. So the breathing, like the pranayams, then more of the tadakas, like eyes exercise by the exercise in yoga, where you have to keep a candle and you have to just focus on the flame. It will help to enhance the alertness and the mindness of the person. So definitely the chess player can do the overall strength and conditioning by going to gym or doing some endurance training or speed training, focusing on the strength and conditioning of legs, back. But most important, that person, the chess player, has to focus more on the core and upper body, like shoulders, neck muscles, and more of the breathing exercises.
Okay, we have another question. I think this is getting interesting, because when we have questions, it's like there's actual participation at both ends.
Yeah,
Otherwise, it's just a one-way traffic. So I think there are lots of lovely questions coming up.
I'm open for
This
the
one was very
questions.
interesting. So we have another question. Uh, which burns fat, strength or cardio training? Which is better for burning fat? Like, people go to the gym to lose weight, but everyone's confused whether we should actually do a proper weight training strength program, or cardio, or a blend of both. So what do you advise, being expert in fitness and uh, conditioning?
See, the most important thing which burns fat is your mind. If you are ready, if you are determined, if you are disciplined, you can burn fat by doing any kind of training. But yeah, scientifically, we have to do the proper training. Yes. So first, get mentally prepared. See that you are determined, you're disciplined, you're dedicated to your training part. So if you want to burn the fat burning is very much important and efficient when you do the strength conditioning. Because when you do the strength conditioning, you're focusing more on the muscles, and not only the small muscles. Try to do more of the compound exercises like bench press, lat pull down, or the deadlifts, or the squats, or the lunges. And you can slowly increase. See that you maintain the repetitions of 8 to 12 in one set. You can go 3 sets, 4 sets. Because when you do strength training, in strength training, you're putting the stress on the muscles. It means the muscle tissues inside are getting toned. And when you complete your training, the muscle which are toned in your training requires the protein, requires the fuel to get repair. So this is called the afterburn. So afterburn is very much effective in the strength training as compared to cardio training. So when you do the strength training, it's very much effective to burn the fat. But of course, yes, with the strength training, you have to incorporate at least 2 days of your cardio exercise, so that you maintain your endurance level, you maintain your lungs capacity. So there should be the balance of the both strength training and cardio. Again, the topic comes what type of player you have, whether it's an ectomorph, highly metabolic, whether it's an endomorph, which is a low metabolic, or it's a mesomorph, or it's an endomorph, which is a proper metabolic, proper sports person. So for the ectomorph, no cardio. He or she shouldn't do the cardio because he's a highly metabolic. Already the person is burning the calories. So give him or give her the more of strength training and try to build up the muscle by giving proper nutrition and the food. If the person is too heavy, there's a less metabolism in that person. So try to incorporate the both things, cardio and weight training, so that the person remains fit and maintains the proper metabolic thing. So it all depends on the person type, the game the person is playing, and the food, because food also plays an important role. You cannot just do training and don't give a proper nutrition. So see that you have the proper balance of the food, like engaging more of the proteins, the proper good proteins, then proper good fats, the proper vitamins and minerals, drink enough water. Yeah, but the base answer to the question is, like, of course, strength training is much more effective as compared to cardio training to burn the fat.
Okay. This is, I don't know, it must be old concept, but at least I, when personally now going to a new gym that I've joined, the trainer who trains me is more, he always wants me to do this HIIT training. So can
Yeah.
you elaborate and also tell us what is HIIT training, and how or which body type does it suit more, or
See,
is it recommended? Like, compared to just normal people go to gym and do weights. So what is this HID training, and how do you advise one goes
yeah, yeah,
about
yeah, yeah. So HIIT means high intensity interval training, which is good for sports person and even for the general population. Like if somebody wants to in a good shape, want to increase their muscle mass, want to increase their lungs capacity, so this is all types of training which is incorporated by the marathoners or the high power endurance games like tennis players, footballers, cricketers, hockey players, where you require a outburst of energy, explosive energy. So you don't have that recovery time. So if you're a footballer, you have to run up and down. You don't have that recover time, but you have to maintain that energy as much as you can. Whether it's your marathon or what you say, you're a 100 meters dash sprinter, you have to see that the power you get as fast as possible. So HIIT is like, as I told you, it's a high intensity interval training, which you do a multiple types of training, with less intervals or minimum of 30 seconds of intervals, and it targets the full body. So when you do the full body training, it enhance your lungs capacity, the endurance, it enhance your muscular endurance by doing more repetitions, and also the strength. But it shouldn't be done all days, or it shouldn't be done every day or every alternate days. Once in a week or twice in a week during off season or during early season is recommended, because when you do HIIT, you should have the proper recovery and rest, which you can get by taking a rest or having a proper nutrition food after the training. So of course, there are lots of other exercises like HIIT is there, plyometrics is there, then competition games or the what you say the boot camp exercises or the CrossFit trainings are there. But these are all multi muscles, high intensity training. So there should be a proper planning and should be proper before and after rest should be properly maintained. You cannot do HIIT before the game. If you're having a football game next day and you're doing HIIT today, your body will become sore. You might injure some of your muscle, which is not advisable for the next part. Okay, if you are in early season when next day is a rest, or into your off season where you don't have to play a game next day, then HIT is good to enhance your overall fitness.
Okay, Sachin, there is another question that I have in Goa, in a place like Goa where we are from. We have rainy season or the monsoon right from June till September. So, like for an outdoor sport, like I personally have been an athlete, so it's like 4 months of not being able to actually practice or technical practice or any kind of training that is outdoor. So, should that time be utilized to kind of develop strength and conditioning training for, especially for people who, I mean, who sportsmen who are into outdoor sports like maybe athletics, football. Sometimes you cannot train during the rainy season. You know, there's heavy monsoon. So do you recommend that strength and conditioning can be worked on, especially in the monsoon season?
Of course, see, because now, as you told me, Steffi, like, see, that there are some games which has to be played outside, some other games which are played inside. When it's raining, you cannot go outside. Of course, football can be played in monsoon, but cricket cannot be played in monsoon. You cannot play in the rains. But remember, that time there's no season, is off season. So what you can do, you can make your player or athlete to play some another game. Take that player to indoor games like say badminton is there, table tennis is there, squash is there, or go for the swimming. You have to see that you maintain the proper endurance and proper strength of particular player. So when you make that player to play badminton or table tennis, he is enhancing the skills, plus he's out of that particular game. If he's a footballer and he's playing badminton, he doesn't have that pressure of the skill development. The footballer is playing badminton just as to enhance the fitness, just as to take out the mind from the football team. So the skill engagement is less as compared to the what exactly the person is in that particular game. So during the off season, or the player cannot go or play the sport outside, he or she can go to the indoor sports. Badminton is there, squash, table tennis. So there are lots of other high intensity, high endurance games that person can shift and maintain the proper distance. Yes.
Okay, we have another question about flexi bands. Do they help with strength and conditioning?
Yes, of course. That's on that Thera bands, Flexi bands, Thera tubes, which you can use for your under 10, under 13 players, because they are into the age of the development. So once they start developing, you cannot give them extra resistance. You cannot take them to gym and put the extra load on the shoulders or on the legs and on their back. So you can start engaging that under 10 or under 13 players for the Thera bands, Thera tubes. At least their muscle memory will increase. They know the techniques. They will know the forms, and as you see the improvisation, as you see the progression in that particular techniques, then you can shift them slowly to the resistance in the gyms. So of course, and these flexi bands and thera tubes can be carried even by the athlete players, the adults or the high, what you say, the senior players, because they are traveling, they are going on travel, they're going to another city, and they don't have a proper training facility, they don't have a proper gym facility. So at least they can train with the extra that thera bands or thera tubes. So thera tubes and thera bands are definitely a good part, a good equipment to do the training. But yes, if you are getting the opportunity to train in the gym, of course, go to the gym. But yes, there should be the option of everything. And for the under 10 and under 13 kids, yes, you can start with the thera bands or thera tubes.
Okay, we have a long distance runner who's also attending today's program. So he asks us that what are the strength and conditioning exercises you suggest for long distance runners who require endurance, more of
Yes.
endurance?
See, for the long distance runners, the first thing they have to keep it in mind is that they have to should have a proper muscular endurance, because they have to cover a very long distance, whether it's a 42 kilometers or 21 kilometers. So first thing they have to keep in mind is the muscular endurance. So they have to go for the lower body strength and conditioning training, low intensity and high repetition, because long distance running is more of the repetitive exercise. They keep on running. So they have to focus more on the endurance training. So less weight, less resistance, more repetition, twice or thrice in a week. And plus they have to focus more on their core stability, because long distance running is the stability in the mobility. It's same like running, it's riding a cycle. You have to maintain the balance of the cycle, plus you have to keep on moving the cycle. So when you run long distance, you have to see that your body is upright. You maintain that sports mechanism. That's what I covered in the first topic, sports mechanism. So that person or the coach of the long distance runner has to understand the sports mechanism. The shoulders, the hand movements, the leg movements are the properly biomechanism in the part. So strength training can be incorporated by doing less weights, less resistance, and more repetition twice or thrice a week. Focus on the core, focus on the breathing, do more of pranayama, because they have to conserve maximum energy they can, because they have less energy to complete the long distance. So focus on the pranayama, focus on the yoga asanas to focus the mind and body coordination, and they keep their mind alert to increase their willpower. No, I can do it, I can run, I can complete 42 kilometers. So strength conditioning will include their muscular endurance training, core training, and the yogasanas of breathing, and the what you say, some stretches exercises.
Okay, Sachin, we have another question. There are some teachers who are also involved with like para athletes who are into disabled, specially abled children who
Yes.
participate in sports. So do they require strength and conditioning? And if required, what kind? Because they don't have the ability like normal people. So how should the coach training them, try and modify their workout, especially related to strength and conditioning?
See, the first thing I like to clear, Steffi, is like these physically challenged kids are not that weak. I take a classes for the whole, what you say, it's a home for the physically challenged kids from age of 16 to 75. So they are very strong. We have to encourage them. We just accept them as our normal, how we normal are. Once you accept them, they will give you more than 100% to you. So first take out from that mind that they are not that strong. They are, of course, they are strong. But of course, it comes with a little bit of specialization of the training. So understand your athlete or the player who is a physically challenged. See what is weakness. That's why the fitness test comes into the part. You cannot take all the fitness test or the physically challenged athlete. So whatever the best fitness test you can take, and always encourage and motivate that particular physically challenged athlete. Give him or her the confidence, take into confidence, and I guarantee you that person will give you more than 100% than the normal athlete. The normal athlete will give you 99%. 1%, normal athletes are lazy. I am an athlete, I know. But these physically challenged athletes, they will give you more than 100%. You will enjoy training with them. So this is just consider them as a normal person, whether though they are physically challenged or little bit para, what you say, the para thing. But the test, start with a normal fitness test, understand their weakness, and then give them the proper training to them.
Okay, that was a lovely this Q&A session. We'll take the last question. for today's session. Before I wind up, I'd just like to inform all the participants attending on YouTube and Zoom. Please fill in the feedback form. The link is provided in the chat box. That is compulsory for issue of your e-certificate because your details are filled in that. So we need the proper details. So kindly fill in the feedback form and submit it, without which we would not be able to entertain any personal requests for certificates. So again, I'm just repeating it because there was little confusion last time. Please fill in the feedback form, only after which your certificates will be issued. And to take the last question for today, in a period, this is asked by Desiree Pereira. She's one of our very upcoming athletic coaches in Goa. In a periodization cycle, when can we conduct the 1 RM test, and how many times can we conduct it? The one max repetition test.
See, the 1 RM, the test is the test can be done at the early season because the player has come out from the off season. So between the off season and the early season, the player might take 1 week or 2 weeks. He's completely out of the touch. He or she might have put on the weight, or the player has undergone the rehabilitation of the injuries of the earlier season. So the first test starts from the pre-season. So that test is very important because this is, like you say, the A of that particular season. So the test which you take at the pre-season will determine your whole plan for the coming 10 months or 12 months. So the first fitness test, which includes all the things, should be at your pre-season. And second thing, understand the game, whether the game is for the power endurance, whether the game is for the strength. You can conduct the test just before the early season to understand, so you can maintain a proper physically fitness of that particular athlete, and then you can conduct a test at the end of the season. During season, I don't think is a proper way because that person is already taken two tests. One is the early season, pre-season, before the pre-season, and one before the early season. And on that thing, you already plan what is progression, what is the overload techniques for that particular person or the athlete to overcome and to give the maximum performance. And then again, if you want, you can conduct a test at the end of the session at the off season to see whether that person or the athlete has maintained that fitness or the maintain that what we are actually looking out. And then the athlete will go for the off season. He or she will enjoy, rehabilitate, recover, and get ready for the coming season. So maximum two tests, 2 times the test is okay. One, as the season starts, and second, just before the season starts. Yeah, just before the competitive season starts.
Sachin, there are a lot of more questions, but due to the time constraint, we have to wind up our session for today. But I think you can definitely share your contact details in the chat box, your contact number, maybe if somebody really needs your guidance. And there are some questions which were also in the chat box, maybe you can personally address them. So if you could type your details in the chat box.
1 minute, I just type it down. 1 minute.
Yeah, you can do it in the due course of time. I'd request our coach Prasad Gawas. He's our SAG coach. I would like him to propose the vote of thanks for today's program. Requesting Prasad Gawas.
Good evening. Shafi?
Yes, Prasad, you can go ahead.
Good evening, all of you. Thank you, Steffi, respected research person, officials, and all the participants of today's function. On behalf of coaching section, the Sports Authority of Goa, I take this opportunity to thank all those who work towards making today's webinar of strength and conditioning for sports performance a big success. It was today's webinar, one of the fantastic interaction session. So I would like to thank our resource person, Sri Sachin Kirwande, for accepting our invitation to conduct today's program and giving us a valuable knowledge.
Thank you.
I also thank our Executive Director, Sir V. M. Prabhudesai, and Director of Coaching, Sir Bruno Coutinho, for their support and encouragement. A special thank to moderator, technical support, officials, and all the participants who attended today's webinar. We hope the knowledge shared on today's program will go a long way in helping you to train your players and help them to achieve a better performance forever. End of this program. Before end of this program, kindly fill your feedback form provided in the chat box on Zoom and YouTube. Your certificate will be sent to you upon after verification of records after 10 days. Thank you. Good evening ahead.
Thank you, Sachin, once again for all your sporting cooperation and wishing everyone a great evening ahead. Thank you.
I just wanted to have a last word.
Yes, yes, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah. So same, I just like to give a note of thanks to Sports Authority of Goa. So giving me this wonderful opportunity and to share my knowledge. Of course, the knowledge has to be shared and it has to be distributed within the fellow ones. And a lot of thanks to Steffi for coordinating and making this event successful. Thank you, Prasad, for giving a wonderful words for me and to the each and everyone. And to all the participants, thank you very much for participating. Just remember, you are the best person. You are the nearest person to your athlete and to your players. They can talk to you freely. They can enjoy you with freely. And they are really very much close to you. They rely on you for each and everything. You are the one who can build up their careers. So do your best. I have shared my number in chat box if you need any guidance. So please speak, just please be stick to the professional things and not to the other personal things. And I would be really happy to share my knowledge. Also, would be happy to understand the knowledge from you. So I'm wishing you all the very best and successful career as a coach, as a person to your players and athletes, and all the great success to the Sports Authority of Goa and to the Steffi and to Prasad. Thank you.
Thank you, Sachin. It was great having you, and hopefully we get an opportunity to work together again. So
Yes,
thank you to all
definitely.
the
Looking
participants
forward.
also, and we sign off for today's session. So thank you and good night.
Yes.